Q Jones, your DVD and Blu-ray baller on a budget, and this is HQ Videos for you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a current subscriber, what's up? You're greatly appreciated. Come on in, make yourself at home. You know the routine. This week for my collection video, I wanted to focus on summer blockbuster movies. We're in basically end of June, so we're right in summertime. And the 80s were such a unique time, not just entertainment, but for computers, fashion, politics. Everything was just so unique, so new. You had the rise of computer games and the entertainment field. As far as music goes, you had your typical genres: rock and roll, pop music, R&B, country. But then you had this British invasion, all these UK groups coming in. You had hip hop, a whole new genre coming in from the inner cities of New York. So, and entertainment followed the same thing. You had these larger than life movies come out that people have never seen before. 70s kind of kicked it off in the late 70s with movies like Star Wars, Aliens. 80s just escalated all that. So I wanted to focus on summer blockbuster movies from the 80s. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, have a drink, have a smoke, and I'll catch you on the other end of this video. We're back at the Black Cave. Back at the Black Cave. We are back at the motherfucking Black Cave. I'm going to cheat a little bit and include an 11th blockbuster pick for the 80s. And it just seemed incomplete not to add this because this is kind of the, I don't know, you think of the 80s, this is the epitome of an 80s classic movie. And this is the 1985 action-adventure comedy science fiction film, Back to the Future. This is directed and written by Robert Zemeckis, produced by Neil Canton. This stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Lee Thompson, Crispin Glover, Thomas F. Wilson, Claudia Wells, Mark McClure. Those are Billy Zane's in here. Those are the big names. The plot behind this: 80s teenager Marty McFly is accidentally sent back in time to 1955, inadvertently disrupting his parents' first meeting and attracting his mother's romantic interest. Marty must repair the damage to history by rekindling his parents' romance and, with the help of his eccentric adventure friend Doc Brown, return to 1985. And this movie grossed $134,178,003. And I normally don't double dip with movies unless I'm upgrading, but if I remember correctly, I think I got this at Big Lots. It was discounted greatly, so, and it's just very cool packaging with the steel case. I'm not that big stuck on steel cases though, but again, I thought it was pretty cool for the price. That's the 30th anniversary. This is the 25th anniversary with the slipcover. And I believe it's the same disc
far as the Blu-ray is concerned, but it also has a DVD. Yeah, this artwork. So they have the artwork, the theater posters for each one, 3, 2, 1. And this one just again had the DeLorean. So, and this one also has a bonus disc, which I haven't watched yet. So my number 11 pick for Blockbusters, Back to the Future. Now to my number 10 top Blockbusters. This is the 1984 comedy, family, fantasy, horror, science fiction film, Gremlins. This was directed by Joe Dante, produced by Michael Fennell, written by Chris Columbus. This stars Hoyt Axton, John Louis, Key Luke, Don Steele, Susan Burgess, Scott Bradley, Arnie Moore, Corey Feldman, of course Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Polly Holliday, I believe that was Flo from Mel's Diner, Chuck Jones, and those are the big names. The plot behind this: when Billy Peltzer is given a strange but adorable pet named Gizmo for Christmas, he inadvertently breaks the 3 important rules of caring for Mogwai, unleashing a horde of mischievous gremlins on a small town. And initially I thought this was it is a Christmas movie, but I didn't realize it was released in the summertime. And this movie grossed in '84 $137,186,485. And Gremlins is just a really fun family film. Again, a Christmas film. This is a triple pack, but for the sake of the video, I just put in the DVD and the Blu-ray. Great special effects for that time. Mogwai seemed like a really live creature, and just a really fun family / horror Christmas, fun horror kind of movie. So if you've never seen Gremlins, if you have kids, definitely do yourself a favor, watch Gremlins. Number 10 pick. My number 9 pick is the 1980 action, adventure, fantasy, science fiction film, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. This is directed by Irvin Kershner, produced by Jim Bloom, written by Leah Brackett. I don't know why I thought Steven Spielberg did Star Wars. George Lucas, I know he's the creator though, but I didn't expect that director. This stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Billy Dee Williams, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse, Peter Mayhew, Kenny Baker, Frank Oz, Sir Alec Guinness, Jeremy Bullock, John Hollis. Let me see. And those are the big names. The plot behind this: the epic saga continues as Luke Skywalker, in hopes of defeating the Galactic Empire, learns the ways of the Jedi from aging Master Yoda. But Darth Vader is more determined than ever to capture Luke. Meanwhile, Rebel leader Princess Leia, cocky Han Solo, Chewbacca, and droids C-3PO and R2-D2 are thrown into various stages of capture, betrayal, and despair. And you're going to see this collection again, though, but for the Empire Strikes Back, is this one right here. If I can get it out. No great artwork, though, but fantastic series. I've heard there's rumors of them coming out with another movie, some of the origin story of the Jedi. I don't know how true that is or how far it's in the work, but I would love to see a prequel to Star Wars and give an origin story of how the Jedi came to be. I'd love to see someone like Kristen Bale, Michael B. Jordan, I don't know, some more of the younger A-listers as far as action movies and those type of films. Love to see someone like that in a prequel story like that. And Empire Strikes Back in 1980 grossed $145,893,923. Empire Strikes Back, part of the Star Wars saga. My number 8 pick is a 1985 action-adventure thriller war film, Rambo: First Blood Part 2. This is directed by George P. Cosmatos, produced by Mel Deller, written by David Morrell. This stars Sylvester Stallone, Richard Crenna, Charles Napier, I believe, Stephen Burkhoff, Julian Nicholas Soule, Martin Kove, George Cheung, Andy Wood, William Gent, Voyo Gorick, Dana Lee. The plot behind this: John Rambo is released from prison by the government for a top secret government mission to the last place on Earth he'd want to return, the jungle of Vietnam. And like The Empire Strikes Back, and you're going to notice a theme throughout these top 10 summer blockbusters, but the sequel was actually as good or better than the original. And this is a Lionsgate release. I guess I forgot to release. Universal, or Back to the Future, 20th Century Fox, Lucasfilm, which is now Disney, and Rambo, Lionsgate. But it's actually better than the first one. Bigger budget, more bodies, more bullets, more action. So bigger, better. Creatively, was it a stretch? No, but again, these are fun summer blockbuster movies. I think people just go to be entertained. And again, the trend that you see, most of these movies, if not all, are part of a franchise. Well, with the exception of the first one, the number 1 pick. But the rest are part of a franchise, and that's why these things keep going, because people keep going to see them and they keep making the money. And Rambo Part 2, First Blood, in 1985 earned $146,011,738. Rambo. My number 6 for 80s summer blockbusters is the 1987 action comedy crime thriller Beverly Hills Cop 2. This is directed by Tony Scott, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, written by Danilo Bach. This stars Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, Jürgen Prochnow, Ronnie Cox, John Astin, Brigitte Nielsen, Alan Garcia, Dean Stockwell, Paul Reiser, Gilbert R. Hill, Paul Guilfoyle, Robert Ridgely, Brian Edward O'Connor. The plot behind this: Axel Foley returns to the land of sunshine and palm trees to investigate the near-fatal shooting of police captain Andrew Bogomil. With the help of Sergeant Taggart and Detective Rosewood, they soon uncover that the shooting is associated with a series of alphabet robberies masterminded by Heartless Weapons Kingpin, and the chase is on. And like Rambo 2 and Empire Strikes Back, again, this is a import Paramount, but this is another example of the sequel being just as good or better than the original. It lacks some of the nuances at the original. The original is a lot more raw, but again, the second one, bigger budget, more car scenes, and Jerry Bruckheimer has this thing. I think at one point I was like timing out the action scenes between the drama. And with Jerry Bruckheimer, you're going to have at least 3 or 4 major either car scenes, car chase scenes, shootout scenes, or major fight scenes. And they evenly pace that throughout the movie to keep you engaged and kind of tell a story around the action. And that's what Beverly Hills Cop does, along with Eddie Murphy's charm, Judge Reinhold awkwardness, and just the overall chemistry of everyone in the movie. And in 1987, this grossed $150,909,972. Number 7 for summer blockbusters, Beverly Hills Cop 2. My number 6 pick is the 1984 action-adventure Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This is directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by Kathleen Kennedy, written by Willard Huck, Hyuck, Huck. This stars Harrison Ford, Kate Capshaw, Ke Huy Quan, Amrish Puri, Roshan Seth, Philip Stone, Roy Chiao, David Yip, Rick Young, Chua Ka-ju. The plot behind this: after arriving in India, Indiana Jones is asked by a desperate village to find a mystical stone. He agrees and stumbles upon a secret cult plotting a terrible plan in the catacombs of an ancient place. And this is actually the whole series, but Temple of Doom. This is the Temple of Doom. In my opinion, this is probably the weakest of the first three. I just didn't get I didn't think Harrison Ford and Kate Capshaw really had great chemistry, but I believe that was part of it, though. They were opposites and they were constantly squabbling, but it's a fun film. I don't say it compared to the first and the third is more like a comic book or a I'm not gonna say made for TV though, but it just didn't have the same bang and flair that Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade. I think Sean Connery and Harrison Ford, they really meshed well together though. But again, still good, fun movie. And in 1984, it grossed $167,732,055, making it the sixth biggest summer blockbuster of the 80s. Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. My number 5 pick is the 1984 action comedy fantasy science fiction film Ghostbusters. This is directed by Ivan Reitman, produced by Bernie Brillstein, written by Dan Aykroyd. This stars Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, Ann Potts, William Atherton, Ernie Hudson, David Margulis, Stephen Tash. The plot behind this: after losing their academic post at a prestigious university, a team of parapsychologists goes into business as proton pack-toting Ghostbusters, who exterminate ghouls, hobgoblins, and supernatural pests of all stripes. An ad campaign pays off when a knockout cellist hires a squad to purge her swanky digs of demons that appear to be living in her refrigerator. And this is Sony production. And again, this is part of a franchise, kicked it off. And this is a digibook by also. But what's so great about this movie, you had the cast, essentially. All these guys, very strong personalities, on different types of humor, with the great special effects also. This was, again, written by Dan Aykroyd of Saturday Night Live, so he's been doing comedy since the 70s. Ivan Reitman, major blockbuster films. Also, in 1984, this movie grossed $189,115,606 and kicked off a huge franchise of Ghostbuster movies. So, my number 5 pick, Ghostbusters. My number 4 pick is the 1989 action-adventure film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This was directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by George Lucas, written by Jeffrey Boehm. This stars Harrison Ford, Sean Connery, Denholm Elliott, Allison Dottie, John Rhys Davies, Julian Glover, young River Phoenix, Michael Byrne. The plot behind this: in 1938, an art collector appeals to archaeologist Dr. Indiana Jones to embark on a search for the Holy Grail. Indy learns that a medieval historian has vanished. And this was the third installment of the trilogy. This one earned $190,057,670. And this is actually the last one you'll see in the top 10. The original Indiana Jones only did $125 million. So that's why I didn't make the list, though. But out of the trilogy, out of all of them so far, this is probably either the first or second best movie. It was the longest of the trilogy. Great chemistry between Sean Connery, Harrison Ford, even the chemistry between these two right here, the German, Asian, or whatever, it just seemed to pop a little bit better than Harrison Ford and Kim Cattrall. Great story. I love how they mix in the Holy Grail, very similar how they did the Ark of the Covenant in the first movie. So it was that nice blend of fiction, history, lore, and adventure all rolled up into one. And this is number 4, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. The number 3 pick is the 1983 action-adventure fantasy science fiction film, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. This was directed by Richard Marquand, produced by Jim Bloom, written by Lawrence Kasdan. This stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, Sebastian Shaw, Ian McDermott, Frank Oz, James Earl Jones, David Prowse, Sir Alec Guinness, Kenny Baker, and those are the main names. The plot behind this, Luke Skywalker leads a mission to rescue his friend Han Solo from the clutches of Jabba the Hutt, while the Emperor seeks to destroy the rebellion once and for all with a second dreaded Death Star. And this was the one everyone was waiting to see. I believe the second movie ended on a cliffhanger. If you haven't seen that, I won't spoil it for you though. But hugely anticipated. It was a little commercialized with the Ewoks and all that, but fun movie. And again, part of a huge franchise since Disney's taken it over. But Return of the Jedi in 1983 scored $232,844,136. Number 3 pick, Summer Blockbusters, Return of the Jedi. The number 2 pick is the 1989 action-adventure Batman. This was directed by Tim Burton, produced by Peter Guber, written by Bob Kane. This stars Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Kim Basinger, Robert Wall, Pat Hingle, Billy D. Williams, Michael Gough, Jack Palance, Jerry Hall, Tracy Waiter, Lee Wallace. The plot behind this, Batman must face his most ruthless nemesis when a deformed Batman calling himself the Joker seizes control of Gotham's criminal underworld. And Warner Brothers release. I didn't like Michael Keaton as Batman. In my opinion, out of all the Batman so far, Christian Bale has been the Batman. I understand there's a difference between Batman and Dark Knight. I understand to a certain extent, not being a comic book head, but just talking to some comic book heads there. Batman, Dark Knight, different universes, somewhat different characters, but still, Michael Keaton wasn't the best cast for Batman. But on the positive side, Jack Nicholson, excellent Joker. Only person I think who did exceed him, and this all subjective, Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. But the Jack Nicholson swag, personality with the Joker character, that's, in my opinion, what saved Batman and made it more engaging. Just Michael Keaton as Batman was just kind of so-so. But they had a great cast. And at the time, it was a big blockbuster. The only other superhero big movie at the time, or big movies prior to that, I believe, was Christopher Reeves as the Man of Steel Superman. But for 1989, this scored $239,258,986. $202,201, making it the second big blockbuster of the 80s, Batman. And the number one pick for 80s summer blockbusters, biggest sales, we have the 1982 adventure family science fiction film, E.T. This is directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by Kathleen Kennedy, written by Melissa Matheson. This stars D. Wallace Stone, Henry Thomas, Peter Coyote, Robert McNaughton, Drew Carrymore, Casey Martell, Sean Fry, C. Thomas Howell. And those were the big names. The plot behind this: an alien is left behind on Earth and saved by the 10-year-old Elliot, who decides to keep him hidden in a house. While a task force hunts for the extraterrestrial, Elliot, his brother, and his little sister, Gertie, form an emotional bond with their new friend and try to help him find his way home. And before I forget, it's Universal. Yeah, of course, Universal release. I actually have a ride at Universal. One of the first rides, E.T. I bought this used, so I don't know why they did that to the UPC code. But fantastic, fun movie. Find it very interesting that the number one summer blockbuster never garnered a sequel. I guess they figured E.T. got home and was like, I ain't going back to that place. I'm gonna be tripping out there. I don't know. Don't know why E.T. didn't want to come back to the Earth, so I don't know why they couldn't form any kind of sequel to this, or I don't know, go to E.T.'s planet, but they didn't, and maybe that's best, because maybe the sequel would have just been horrible. And this little booklet that goes to it, and I can go through all the pages though, but this still stands up today. Came out in 1982. People still watch this. Some people watch it religiously, like every year. Every now and then I'll pop it in just to see a couple scenes, the opening scene mostly though. But E.T. in 1982 grossed $240,118,856, making it number one summer blockbusters from the 80s. Phone home. And these are the top 10 plus one summer blockbusters based on sales from the 80s. If you made it this far in the video, smash a like, give me the big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Other than that, may the best of your past be the worst of your future. Everyone, please be safe. Deuces.